Hello, you guys. How are you all? Thank you guys for being here. I just want to say I'm sorry. Oh, I'm just, I don't know what happened with my StreamYard, but I was connecting the internet and I had two of me pop up back here backstage. The internet, I don't know what I did, but I pressed live. It never went live. It's been a whole thing on my end, and I do apologize. I'm so sorry for being late. But I want to say thank you for being here. I'll say hello to you guys really quick, and then I want to bring Amber up. So, you guys know Amber. She's one of the mods here, Amber Love Reigns, and she's been on before talking about this case a while ago, and there are lots of new updates and lots of things happening that I can't wait to get into with you guys. But first, let me say hello. Hey, Pointer Lover. Hey, Adrian. Hey, Neat Noodle. Hey, 99 Problems But Crumb ain't one. Hey, Nadie. Hey, Selena. Punksy. Good to see you guys. Hey, Kathy. Hey, Tony. Oh my gosh, I have been watching the trial. Proctor is on the stand, and I had to peel myself away from that. I cannot wait for the cross, which is going to be happening soon. But let me see. Anyone who's coming in, you guys, just one second. Hey, Teacup. Hey, Tess. Okay, let me go ahead and bring Amber up. Hey, Amber.
Hi. Yeah, I thought the intro was playing like live because I wasn't looking at the screen. So I was like, what's going on?
I know it was playing for us, and then until it was over, I was like, "Oh my god, it didn't. The live didn't start." We sat through the entire intro. I'm so sorry.
It
Oh my,
happens though.
yeah, I'm losing it. That's for sure. But how are you? What are you up to?
Oh, not much. Just taking care of our baby kitty and hanging out.
Aw, awesome. Well, I'm glad that you were here today to kind of talk about this. So, you guys, we
Yeah.
we had been talking about this potential serial killer for a while, and finally, I think it was. Let me check. I think it was May the 24th last year. And it took a while. It was a secret indictment, though. I think, didn't you say it had already? It just wasn't made public, right?
So,
Or am I?
I do not have the exact date on me, but the secret indictment was about 3 weeks ago, where the grand jury happened. And they met together and charged him. They had been investigating him for over a year now and had done warrants on where he was living and been investigating him, but they didn't actually indict him for the charges until about 3 weeks ago. So,
Okay. Yeah. So I found on in this article it says Friday, May the 24th. But
yeah.
Amber had sent me this Daily Mail article, and I have the press conference and stuff. But I wanted to pull. I thought this one was really great. It went through a lot of the information. Of course, my thing isn't loading, and it has pictures of. While it loads, I'll go ahead and tell you. He's only been charged with three of the women. So there are a lot. Actually, five or six. The sixth one, I believe, was said to not be, part of this, but he's been named a potential suspect in two other women. But there are a lot of missing women from your area, you know?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot, and I think the general consensus with everyone in our area, or at least most of us, is that there is definitely more than even these five women. That sixth woman who was never identified yet, where there was just a
Yeah.
sketch of her, they think it wasn't, you know, nefarious things that happened. It might have been an overdose or something like that, but they don't think that it was a crime that it had occurred. So that's why they're not investigating him for that anymore. But I do definitely think that there's more.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if there's not more as well. And, it's for those of you who didn't follow along in the beginning of this, he was targeting vulnerable women, women that were houseless or hanging out on the streets a lot, and it's just so unfortunate because a lot of times the women that are out doing that kind of stuff, their families aren't going to notice immediately when they're missing. Sometimes the very day that they're missing. You know, it's like he's going after a particular type of woman that's exceptionally vulnerable, and that's so scary. Hey, Music City Mom.
Exactly. And I think the lifestyle he was living gave him access, very easy access to a lot of women like that. And a couple of those women he already had history with too. It's not like he had already just met them, you know?
Right.
So it's,
Well, so if you guys see on the screen here, we have Charity Perry all the way on the left. She was 24 years old. She went missing March the 8th. This was all in 2023. He was just released from prison not long before this. He was actually released. The governor did like a commutation of sentences, but he would have been out anyways by the time that these cases happened. Oh, Mal, thank you for being a member for 14 months, and thank you for being here, and thank you. I appreciate that, and back at you. But so we have Charity Perry. Then we have Joanna Speaks. She is all the way on the right of this picture. She's 32 years old. She went missing March the 18th, and she was found April the 8th. And then Bridget in the center went missing on, she was last seen April the 26th and was found on April the 30th. Which, you know, I don't know. The other two women, Kristen Smith,
yeah.
oh God, I just hope that there's some movement in those cases soon
Me
because,
too. And Melissa has fought, so her mom has fought so hard for
yeah,
answers, and still does every single day, you know. And Ashley Riel, she is the one that has the most history with Jesse and had been in a relationship with him before. And she sought out the restraining order against him that was denied, you know. And so, you know, the fact that they were able to make concrete connections to those yet is really sad. But I do believe that they will be made.
I hope
So.
that they do. Yeah, Kristen was one that I remember her mom on the news long before, you know, any of this, at least a year ago. I might have to take that wind chime down. Hold on one second. But yeah, I mean, it's just so heartbreaking for the families, especially a lot of them. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I know that was loud. Especially a lot of them have been doing a lot of the investigating themselves. You know, they've been out looking for answers. So
And
let
there
me.
will be that documentary that comes out after the trial is over or after he takes a plea deal, whichever happens, of the families and the investigative work that they've done. So that will be really good to watch and support them with that because I know they still
Yeah,
work very hard.
absolutely. I definitely want to see that and support that. And hey, Haley, by the way, okay, so I wanted this article is really good. I have a few other articles, the press conference, several things to go through, but this kind of pulled together these two other articles so well. I figure I want to just read through this one to you guys, and Amber, stop me or I'll stop along the way. But if you have something, you know, that you want to add, please let me know. So, suspected serial killer Jesse Lee Calhoun appeared emotionless as he came to face court this week. So, I think it was last week, as if I read it correctly, with the victims' families. Calhoun faces 3 counts. Now, why is it second degree murder?
In my opinion, I think it's because he didn't premeditate it. I mean, I honestly believe he probably didn't. I think it was in the moment, but he enjoyed it. How, you know, it's so sick to even talk about that, but I don't think like he went and sought them out to do that. Or it might just be because they don't think they can prove that he sought out to do that, you know, and so the second degree is probably just to be safe for him to be convicted. Um,
Right.
it does
I
suck though.
hate
I wish it could be the first degree though.
Me too. Every time I see that, and I can understand. I can understand it. They want to, you know, they want a conviction that will stick. But every time I see that, it's just like, oh, I don't know. It just, it, which
Right,
maybe
because
he
if
didn't.
he accepts a plea, then it would be manslaughter then, which
Yeah,
is just he deserves way more than that, in my opinion. So.
absolutely. So he faces 3 counts of second degree murder and 3 counts of second degree abuse of a corpse in the brutal slaying of Charity Lynn Perry, 24, Bridget Webster, 31, and Joanna Speaks, 32. His attorney, Cameron Taylor, pled not guilty on his client's behalf during Thursday's arraignment. So, yes, last Thursday in Multnomah County District Court. Calhoun has also been named a person of interest in the death of Kristen and Ashley. Their deaths remain under investigation. Kristen's mother, Melissa Smith, said it was gut-wrenching seeing Calhoun in the courtroom. It's hard to look him in the face. And there's a lot I would like to say, she said. We already feel broken. We already feel empty. Many of the other victims' families were unable to face the suspected murderer. And this is just the beginning of a long process. It's so unfortunate, but the court process is really tough on the families, man. It really is.
And real quick, Haley just commented, and she does know a lot about this, and she said in Oregon the law has changed so that first degree has to be like a terrorist attack or something to that magnitude, you know? Um,
Wow. I saw that
so
in another case I covered, or not the exact same thing, but when I first started doing YouTube, I had a friend who was friends with Bianca Devon's mother. And Bianca was a young lady who was murdered in the state of New York. And it was completely planned. And in the state of New York, it's only first degree if it's like against a police officer. There's certain criteria, and she didn't meet it. Even though it was premeditated and it was a brutal, absolute murder, but yeah, he couldn't be charged with first degree. It's not just premeditation, as far as I know. There just has to be other factors on top of murder. Yep, I've seen that, and that's unfortunate. But so though Calhoun wasn't charged yet in her daughter's murder, Smith, so Melissa, and that's Kristen's mom, she said, "We are all in a different position here, but all connected with Jesse Calhoun. I'm already broken. I'm already falling, but I have to keep going. I have to keep fighting," she said. The grieving mother, wearing a black t-shirt with the pink letters and the words "Justice for Kristen Smith," told News Nation's Ashley Banfield during last night's show how important it was for her to be in the courtroom, not only for her own daughter, but for the other families. "It is very important to me that my daughter is not forgotten and for the truth to come out and be told." She told Banfield that during the hearing, she kept her eyes locked on Jesse. "I wanted to see him," she said. "All I have ever seen was a photo. I wanted to see him. I wanted to see him so badly." Okay, you guys, no, I got booted. I am so sorry. Let me bring Amber back up. Oh, I removed you and then bring you back up. I am not with you. I'm struggling. um, can you hear me okay right now?
yeah, I can. It just kicked me off for a second.
Okay, so I don't know what you heard of me, but I wanted to say, being near this area, like, I can't imagine if it was my area and you're hearing that there's this potential serial killer on the loose, all these women are disappearing. That's scary. And especially, like, for me personally, and I don't know about you, but I have all kinds of friends of different walks of life. Some of my old friends are in the streets using, not necessarily houseless, but in the streets using and stuff. And it just would be scary for the people you know and love. I cannot imagine. So, what was that like being like a young woman who lived in that area?
So my cousin is actually houseless in Southeast Portland, where most of this has happened, and she's an addict. So it was really scary for me. I kept giving her updates and talking to her about it so she knew to be careful. I also have a lot of friends in that position still that are living on that trail where a lot of this happened. That's where a lot of the houses do flock to that are addicts, and so. It is scary. I wasn't necessarily scared for myself, but definitely scared for other women and women that I know. It, a lot of
Yeah.
us were scared. So it's it's a hard feeling, and even now, there's some people who don't, who aren't sure that Jesse is the one who did it, or aren't convinced that he acted alone, and there's still a lot of fear in the area. There is. So
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, that's crazy. I hadn't even thought about that. What if it, wasn't him, or if you were of that mindset? I mean, I'm
yeah, and
really
there is
looking
a
forward.
big group of people that think he didn't act alone, and that there's still another person out there who he did this with. So there's
Oh,
still a lot
really?
of questions. So
Wow. Yeah. He looks so different right here. Like, I don't know if it's the glasses or what, but I think it just has to be the glasses. Cause if
it
you,
is, yeah.
yeah. Oh my
My
gosh.
fiance, so for people who don't know, my fiance knows him and has known him for years. He saw him a lot during the time when all this was happening, even. And Jesse would try and ask him for rides, but he wouldn't give them to him. But when I showed him that picture, he was like, Jesse doesn't wear glasses. That's odd. He's wearing them now. He's never worn them before. So it is a little weird.
Oh, wow.
But
So, what
yeah,
did your fiance think whenever he heard it was him? Because you were following this so closely that me and you talked a lot during that time. And, you were constantly sending me the updates. I know that very on top of what's happening in the Facebook group and all of that. So, when you found out who it was and that your fiance knew him, like, oh my gosh, I can't
he
imagine.
was shocked to some extent, but also not. I know, and the only reason why I'm saying this is because I know it was talked about on another channel, so it's already out there. But he was present for a conversation that had happened a while back with Jesse and a few other people, where Jesse had talked about that he was worried he had killed someone and had to go back and check on the situation. And that was before all this happened with the women. And
Oh, wow.
so um, he said he was shocked just to know that he knew the person, but also not shocked that it's him. He said that it made sense when Jesse got out of prison. He was talking about how much he could get any woman he wanted, and he had them flocking to his feet, and he could just tell that he was taking advantage of that. So he wasn't really that shocked. So
Oh my God. I cannot imagine how surreal that would be. And, I just want to say I'm sorry because my falling off the panel and just all the issues I've had. But what I want to let you know, and you guys in the chat know, I'm going to make a video out of, some of these articles, and I'll clip some of the things we've said here and do like a video that's not live stream format, just so it has all the information without all the bumps on the way. So just, and yeah,
there
so you
hasn't
guys,
been too many bumps. It was just the beginning. It's fine.
yeah, hopefully we're good now. But you guys, so this is Bridget, says 31, found 45 miles south of Portland on April 30th. Like I had told you guys, this is Ashley Real, or how did you say her name? You said it a little differently.
Ariel is how I've heard it pronounced on the news. And if I'm wrong, someone could correct me. I definitely do not want to be pronouncing victims' names wrong, but I've heard it as Ashley Riel.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to pronounce them
That's
wrong
how I've
either. So
heard it on the news. So
now she has not been, she is the most recent to be found. And I believe, well, I know Kristen was the first to go missing out of all the women, right? My notebook, I
yeah,
walked, yeah, I
I
left my
believe
notebook
so.
outside over there. I believe she was, because I was just like writing down notes this morning. It just took a long time for her to be found. Um,
Yeah. And Melissa was posting, she made a Facebook group and was desperately searching for her daughter. And it's such a heartbreaking end. I just can't
yes,
imagine.
I remember that Facebook group. Yes. And we learned a lot about Kristen. A lot of the victims we didn't actually get to learn a lot about yet. But with Kristen, not a lot necessarily, but more than the others. I do remember she was like really into art and music, and she loved her cat, I believe it was, loved animals. Um, Her mom was just really trying really hard and working very hard to keep her name and face out there.
Yes, definitely. She really was. And then Joanna was a mom and a sister and a daughter, and her family really loved her. And she was found in Washington, which isn't very far from Portland, just across over a bridge. But so
Yeah.
she was, they believe that she was killed in Portland and then moved to Washington afterwards. So she's the only one that they believe that happened with. So,
Yeah,
and the
I've
only
read.
one that they've actually disclosed her, um, the way she passed, how it happened.
Yes.
The rest they haven't disclosed that way.
I wonder why that is. Because I noticed
Yeah,
today
I'm
when
not
like
sure.
taking down the notes, I think it was blunt force trauma.
Yeah,
Is it?
yeah.
Um, I wonder why they haven't released anything about the others as far as that goes. Well, actually, I was about to say that, Haley. Actually, where she was found in another place, that police department would have been the ones that would have been on the case at first. You know what I mean? The ones that found her. So it
Yeah.
could be because of that. Okay. And she was 37, and like you said, a mom, and her family really loved her. And you know what? I'm just I I don't know if it's because of my past with addiction or what, but it just like breaks my heart, and it's so unfortunate the way that people who are either addicts or addicts in recovery are sometimes treated by law enforcement, or when they go missing. A lot of times it'll be, just one less person I have to deal with. The police kind of look at it like that, or, oh, I'm sure they'll turn up. They're probably, God knows where. And
Right.
I'm sure that made the investigation difficult.
And real quick, hi Ariel. Thank you so much for being here. Ariel's in the chat.
Hey, Ariel, she was 32. Okay, my notes are over there, but so I was just reading it off the picture. Oh, I read it wrong. I thought it said 37 right there. And hey, Ariel, by the way, thank you for being here. Hold on, Amber. Let me go get my notebook because I do not want to get anything else wrong. Just one second.
And Ariel, please let us know if you do want to come up at all, because you are more than welcome. But also understand if that's too hard for you, don't want to do that. But thank you so much for being here.
Okay, so I apologize. I just read that wrong, but okay, so I have my notes again. Charity's 24, like I said in the beginning. She went missing March 8th. Joanna, 32, missing March 18th. Bridget, I did not have her age in that article. It says here 31. So missing April 26th. And then Kristen and Ashley are both 22, right? Ashley 22. Yeah, and on this picture it says so too. Yeah. So it's interesting the age range. I'm just kind of thinking about that. And Charity was found in a culvert, which I don't even know actually what that is.
I
What is
believe, and Ariel or Haley could probably answer it a lot better than me, but I believe it's kind of like a ditch or a ravine, you know? That's what
okay.
I'm pretty sure it is, but don't hold me to that.
Okay. And then Joanna was found in an abandoned barn. And then just as, if I get something wrong, this is just what I had written down this morning. Bridget was found on Harmony Road, which, let's see what it says here. Bridget Ramsey is
Okay, so I
Bridget.
was wrong real quick. A culvert is a tunnel underneath a road, like a water pass.
Oh, okay.
So,
A tunnel under a
yeah.
road for water to pass. Thank you, Ariel. And hey, by the way, and can you mods do me a favor? So, Ariel, I know, do you want me to share out her channel? Does she want that shared? If you do, let me know, because I would love to have the mods drop the link. Hey, Mo and
Yeah,
Co.
and I can even go find it and drop it. Sometimes it's, well, they can click on it too, but she does have some videos on there updating stuff. So
Okay.
if you want
And
them to share that, just let Allie know, Ariel.
yeah, just let me know. Hey, Patricia. Um, okay, so let me exit out of this. And I want to keep reading. And I do, but like I said, I think I have the press conference pulled up. I know I do. And we can look at that if we want to. Um, but so yeah, 22, 22. 31, 32, and 24. So all really young, all of them younger than me. It's just freaking so sad. And all beautiful women, you know.
Yeah.
I, I do remember when Ashley went missing, they were showing that footage of her, I think at McDonald's, um, like surveillance footage, right? Amber, am I remembering that
Yeah,
correctly? Hey, preschool
I'm
green.
pretty sure that was of Ashley. I think so. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So speaking of Kristen's mother, Melissa, as she waits to hear about updates in her daughter's murder, she expressed that that the three other families can now get some form of closure and begin the grieving process. She says, "I'm there for them through all of it, and they're there for me as we keep fighting to get the truth and the answers they deserve." Um, that's so awesome, though, that the families have kind of started to be there for each other, and kind of be support systems for each other. Because I can't imagine, and I don't know. I just the trial process is so long. I hope that closure can happen at some point, but I know it's a long journey and it's going to be a tough one. And I'm just so sorry for all of the family members. Amber, I'm going to write something to you in the back really quick. Hold on. Okay. So, Kristen, wait, let's see. As Kristen's mother waits to hear about the updates in her daughter's murder, she expressed that the other families can now begin to get some form of closure. Smith also said that she believed that he looked over at Krista Senor, the woman he had been in a relationship, as they were seated in the courtroom. He did look over. I think he was looking at Krista. I think he knew she was there, Smith said. Krista met the murder suspect through Facebook, and they dated until he was arrested on parole violations before the accusation surfaced. Now, I remember when she came out and started talking to the news and stuff like that. Um, so there are a few interviews of her out there. Hey, Mark Milligan, I believe there are several cases similar to this in major metropolitan areas that have just not been looked at because the victims are deemed lost causes by law enforcement. And you guys, Mark is retired law enforcement, so I do always appreciate and value your opinion, and thank you for being here. That is so unfortunate. It's so wrong, because anybody can fall into addiction. I don't know why. It's like sometimes people don't see that or don't recognize that, but it can happen to anybody. Addiction does not discriminate, you know, and
Yeah, and I think that is also a big, from what I understand, that's a part of what the documentary is focusing on is how hard these families have had to fight for answers and justice just because of the, what they were going through, what the victims were going through. And it's not right at all.
yeah, no, it's not.
I sent you a
Um,
chat in the back if you can look at it too, just so you know.
okay. Hey, Melissa Jade. I got it, Amber. Okay. So earlier this month, a newly released, well, actually, let me back up just a little bit. Calhoun's first alleged victim was Perry, who was killed on March the 8th. 10 days later, so of these happened within 50 days, which is pretty scary. And if it wasn't planned, if this is just like someone who's snapping, that's even scarier to me. I don't know why. There's something so. I'm glad that he's caught, and I'm glad he's arrested, because there could be so many more. There still could be so many more.
Yeah, usually people don't just start off with
10 days.
that drastic, you know? I mean, it's usually more time in between. That's what makes me think there may be more.
Yeah, like maybe usually I can see what you're saying. You would think it would start off slow and then maybe progress into that where it's that often. And I don't know. So 10 days after Perry, who was killed on March 8th, his next alleged victim, Joanna, her life was taken March the 18th, and then Bridget Webster on April the 26th. Earlier this month, a newly released indictment offered the first clear timeline regarding the women whose disappearances rattled the Portland area last year. The two-page document reveals little details, but shows that authorities called in 16 witnesses for closed-door grand jury proceedings earlier this month. The indictment accuses Calhoun of killing Perry on March 8th. Her body was found 7 weeks later on April the 24th near Ainsworth State Park. Again, 10 days later, he is accused of murdering Speaks, with her body being found 3 weeks later in an abandoned property in Ridgefield. It was later determined that Speaks had been killed in Portland, and her body then moved. And autopsy details revealed she was killed by blunt force trauma. I really am curious what evidence they have to show that she was moved. And with closed door proceedings and things like that, I can understand why they do that. Because,
Well, and the fact that they know the dates that they were killed makes me think they have evidence to prove that, whether it's cell phone data or, and his location or things like that. There has to be something like that for them to know the exact date, especially because of how long it took to find these poor women. They have to know those exact dates for some sort of evidence, in my opinion.
right,
Don't
I
you
agree.
think?
There has to be. I completely agree. And I can understand why they want to do the closed door proceedings. It protects the investigation, it keeps a lot of the evidence quiet until, a later date. Okay, so let me just.
She's backstage, Harry.
I know I had sent you a
Oh,
message.
oh, okay.
Oh, okay. So, so I'm going to bring up some girls that are backstage. And actually, I had put a message in the back. How would you prefer I introduce you? But how about I allow you to introduce yourself? I just want to be as respectful to you as possible and, let you decide what you want to say. So, yeah, not speak for you. So,
Oh, thank
welcome,
you.
Ariel and Haley. And yeah, you guys go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Okay, perfect. Well, my name's Ariel. I'm Joanna's stepson.
Okay. And Ariel, thank you for being here. And I'm so sorry for your loss. I am so very sorry. I don't even have words to describe how sorry I am. And yeah.
Well, thank you. I don't know honestly what to say when people say sorry. I don't know if anybody's ever thought of this before, because when um I've always said, like, I'm so sorry for your loss when someone loses someone, without ever thinking like how they should respond to that. And sometimes I just say, like, oh, okay, but honestly, like, I don't know how to respond because you didn't do it. So, you know,
Right.
I know you're saying, like, things have been tough. You you know, feel for me, but it's a weird thing when you're put in this situation and you realize, like, what do I say? I don't know.
Well, especially in the way you lost her, it's a tough situation. And you're still understanding your own feelings about it, so it's hard to explain them to other people.
Yeah. Absolutely. And like I know for me when I've never lost someone in a way like this, but I've lost recently. I just lost my cousin who was like a sister to me, and I know that there are no words that anybody can even say. So it's really hard to put into words that you feel for somebody, but I just want you to know that I'm here for you guys however I can to support you along the way, or whatever I can do to help. So
Thank you. Haley probably wanted to stay silent, but she is like the backbone for me through all of this. she is the organizer, the data compiler, the investigator. Like, I need somebody's background, and bam, 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 she's got it. Like, she's, married, has her own life, works full time, and still any minute of any day has been there for all of us families. And so she won't go out and say that publicly, but she definitely deserves that recognition. So shout out.
that is awesome.
You're too sweet.
Yeah, I know that when I jumped into this, I think you guys were talking about wondering how they knew that Joanna, who I called Joe sometimes, so I'm not talking about some other dude, but how she was moved. How do they know that? And they actually didn't tell me at first. Well, they never told me. They just said, we can tell by the area that she was found that she hadn't been there the whole time. So I actually, in the first month of all of this, did all of the research I could on like death investigation, like looking up medical examiner protocol, FBI protocols. I'm in nursing school right now, and so I have a lot of like the foundation for the anatomy and the processes. But then I went and looked up like decomposition in different environments and this, that, and the other thing. And I think basically what they found was that her decomposition was advanced enough that they would have noticed like the earth and things around her would have been killed off, or and that was not the case. So
that makes sense.
That she had been moved there, and that she must have been kept in a place that was like cool and dry, maybe with like a breeze, how you have a refrigerator or something like that. That sounds awful. I don't think she was kept in a refrigerator, but the cold, dry, like breeze would slow down the decomposition process, which is something that they also noted.
Okay. And I just want to ask you, maybe we could take a second to learn a little bit more about Joe, or Joanna, as you called her, Joe. And if you wanted to just tell us a little bit about her, I would love that.
Yeah, thank you. So Joanna's my stepsister. I was 14 when our parents got together, her dad, my mom. And instantly, she has an older biological sister, Robin, who's noted in this article, who can speak a lot about like the childhood years and those like really fond memories. By the time our parents got together, she was in active addiction, and she had been for a while. So she was 16, 17. And it was a lot of back and forth. Our family is pretty emotionally dysfunctional, and I got to witness her in active addiction and recovery, some of the worst times of her life and some of the best. I was there when her two older boys were born. That was one of the most amazing things. I was going through school for medical insurance billing and coding, which don't do that, anybody. That's just a ripoff. It's not. But we went through anatomy, and I was going through reproductive at the same time that she had her first son, Juan. And I was like, can I touch your placenta? And she was like, fucking weirdo. Sure, go ahead. And so the doctor, and she was like, yeah, let her do whatever. I don't need it anymore. And so like I got to have that experience and have hands-on learning because of her, but she made everything funny and everything was a joke. I can tell you that, if you look up her history, she's not perfect. She has a criminal record. all of that. But you know what? Like, it was such an inspiration to me on a different level because there was nothing that got in her way until the day that she died. Nothing would stop her from accomplishing something or something done. Now, if those aspirations were used for good, like,
Right.
she'd be on top of the world because that was one like powerful person. Like, she was beautiful. She walked into a room, like, so annoying when people said light up a room, but I'm telling you, like, she demanded the room, you know, effortlessly, and her laugh was so contagious. And her youngest son Braxton has that same laugh, and it's a specific.
Aw.
They think that they've done something funny, or if somebody gets funny, so it has to be specific circumstances. But I hear her laugh in my house every day because I have her. Me and my boyfriend adopted her two boys out of foster care 5 years ago. And so now I just kind of do this for them, for my family and for my sister as well. But like, I look at her little mini me's every day, and they still don't have answers, and they haven't seen their mom since I had adopted them because we were trying to have a boundary, you know.
Yeah.
I know that there's a lot of people that are in recovery and have struggled with addiction who might understand that, you know, you're not 100% yourself in those really low moments, and it makes things that you wouldn't do with a clear mind. And
Yep.
boys had been so unstable throughout their whole lives that they really needed the stability, and they didn't need her coming in and out making a mess of their lives every time.
Right.
So I put those boundaries in place. Obviously, had I known what was going to happen, I would have had them see her, you know, but we don't. Who would have asked
Right.
that this is what would have happened? And
Right.
so, you know, that's kind of rough because one of the things I'd always instilled in them is always have hope for your mom. My mom was an addict for most of my formative years, and when I was 15, she got, and now she's one of my best friends, and I gave them that example. Um,
Right.
so when we got the news, you know, their hope was taken away. That's what they had been leaning on, and now it's gone. And I do
Oh my
believe
God.
gonna get clean and turn her life around multiple times. And I do believe that she would have been able to do it again.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is it's heartbreaking that she was robbed of that chance, to turn her life around because many
Yeah.
of us do, many of
It's
us are able to do that. And she didn't get that chance, and that is heartbreaking.
it is so messed up, and I just gotta say, like, oh my God, I don't even know you, but I want to say, like, I'm so proud of you for that. I know what that's like. I have an intimate circumstance in my family where, to a degree, I can see what some of that would be like, having to set those boundaries with the child and not. I mean, you have to do that for the betterment of those kids. And I mean, oh my God, you're just such a savior for those kids, and that's so awesome that you were able to do that. And of course, nobody could ever see it coming. And let me say, we all have dysfunctional families. Like everybody, if you say you don't have some dysfunction in your family, I'm going to say you have to be lying. So,
But our,
yeah.
like, if you watched, oh my God, what is that show? Is it called, not Scandal? What's the one with Fiona Gallagher? What is that?
Hmm.
Shameless. Shameless.
Shameless. Okay.
Yeah.
If anybody who has seen that show, like, welcome to our family. That's it. I was like, who made a TV show about us? This is entertaining, and also like somebody just opened my diary.
Who
But
made a TV show about it?
right, I think it's the most important thing about it is, you know, she was in active addiction when she was killed, and so within 2 months of the case being open, you have to think in Portland, like where we are right now, and how I have a friend that lived in Nashville, and they would send their homeless like on a bus to Portland, would give them a free ticket. This is where you go, and Nashville is beautiful. That sucks out.
Even people in California are sending their houseless here. It's very common. Just give them a one-way bus ticket.
San
Wow.
Francisco is gorgeous compared to the streets of Portland, and I've always been told it was the opposite, and that makes a lot of sense. But with that, you have some, like, I have a routine every day. I have kids. Like, I'm in nursing school, so if I go missing or something happens to me, you can look back at the timeline and be like, okay, she missed this class, but she was at the last one. So obviously we have to, when you have
Right.
and addicted persons, you don't have that routine and that timeline that you would normally have for people that don't share those same struggles. And so they were talking about what would happen if her case went cold. And I was like, not gonna happen. Like, I won't let that happen. And I think that Clark County in Washington did a fabulous job.
Uh-oh.
There's that bias, in the system where someone with addiction or houselessness does get, like, less attention off the bat or more excuses made than you would see someone such as myself or you.
Well, your mic is kind of messing up a little bit, Ariel. I tried to turn it up back here, so I did make you a little bit louder, but I am so sick of that stigma. I am so tired of it. I know so many people in addiction who are some of the best people, and it is so unfortunate the way that if you're in addiction, sex work, there are a few segments of life. If you are in those segments, you're looked at as less than, and it is so unfortunate. I'm sick of it. We have to change that. Something has to give.
It's true. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a lot better.
Okay, I switched spots in my house. Yeah, and the same judgment is coming from people that, go home and drink a bottle of wine every night or go and take extra Ativan or Xanax, just because your, vice isn't as awful, I guess, as these people's doesn't mean it's any better or that you're any different.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And, okay, can you tell, like, when she went missing, was it a while before you guys knew because she was in addiction, or kind of, can you walk us through some of that?
Oh, I can for sure. So she had been in Clackamas County Jail March 8th through March 15th, I believe, for like something stupid. Like, she didn't go to court for driving without a license or something dumb like that. But she was supposed to be in there 30 days. So I actually have a text message with my mom and Robin, her older sister, where my mom says, Joe's in jail again. And my response was, good. Then she will be warm, safe, and fed for 30 days because she was supposed to be in 30 days. And they recogged her on the 15th. And according to the indictment, they believe one of her last days alive was March 18th. So she had called on the 15th, I believe, before she knew she was being released, to try to get her dad, my stepdad, to bail her out or something. That was the last time we heard from her as a family. Oh, I actually believe her mom, Colleen, had spoken to her over Facebook Messenger, like video call, the morning, the 17th, like in the middle of the night of the 16th, you know, going into the 17th. So, and that's the last time. It wasn't uncommon for Joanna to go a couple weeks without reaching out to me. And I recently started reconnecting with her on Facebook, sending her updates about her kids. So, oh, she talked to mom on the 17th. That's Robin. That's her older sister.
Oh, hi, Robin. Thank you for being here. And okay, so then that article must be based off of the indictment that I got my information from, because in my notes here I have she was last heard from on March the 18th.
I believe that's the last time she sent a Facebook message, but I'm not sure. We both got our dates from the same document because they had told until the indictment.
Right. Oh my God Almighty. I know I've already said it, but I'm so sorry for you guys. And Robin, I'm so sorry for your loss. I know that words don't mean shit. And it's not helpful right now. I just want you guys to know, though, that if there is anything I can ever do to help in the process or anything, that I'm here to help. But yeah, so when you first started seeing all these other women that were missing, and you know that your sister is missing, what kind of went through your head at that time?
We actually didn't know that she was missing until they found her and called us.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a lot. I think most of us just didn't really believe that it was real. I mean, I didn't expect that. And when we did get the call, we thought she had overdosed, which still wouldn't make a lot of sense because her drug of choice was stimulants, like meth. Wasn't a downer person. So we were like, okay, well, I'm sure fentanyl is in everything these days, so that must be what happened. And the medical examiner, like 2 hours, 3 hours later, to tell us the cause of death. And that was like shocking.
Oh my God. I just cannot imagine. I'm sure that because a death that is not, like, when somebody's really sick and they pass away, it's still hard to grasp that. Then a sudden death, it's you can't even believe that it's real. And then I cannot even imagine if someone else takes their life and you hear that. I think it would just take everything out of you. So when you saw, like, all the other women that were coming up missing, and after you knew what happened with Joanna, did you immediately think serial killer, or could it be something like that? I'm curious if that was even a thought in your head, and kind of when you got there to that point.
Yeah, it's weird because the second that we found out that someone had done this to her, like, our immediate thoughts were something bigger than her. She was the kind of person that she was go big or go home in everything that she did. So, and she had in her past had connections with, like, organized groups
Yeah.
that do crime. So we were like, who did she pick off? And, like, what does this mean? Like, there must be something bigger to this. And then from that, I started watching the news a lot more, and then just to see all these other girls pop up, and I did a little background on them. I mean, with Bridget Webster, I had friends in my neighborhood messaging me saying she was a regular at the gas station that one of my friends had worked at on one of the busiest, like the main road in Milwaukee. And I was like, this isn't right. And then we ended up finding out that Bridget and Joanna had gone to, like, middle school together, I believe. Robin, correct me if I'm wrong. But
Wow.
yeah, just to find out there were connections. And Kristen, I believe, was one of the last ones to air on the news, but she was the first one found. So I ended up reaching out to the family members of those women, which was really hard because by then I had already like disassociated with it, with Joe being a family member, and turned it into like investigation medical case mode.
Right.
Elementary. Okay, Bridget and Joanna went to elementary school together.
Wow.
Um,
Wow. Wow. Wow.
and so Joanna was also a regular at that gas station as well. And if you know that street, then you know if you're in the scene and you hang out on McLaughlin, like each other. So reached out to all of those families, which was kind of rough because I was like, oh my God, these people are probably going to be way more sensitive to this than I am right now because I've already like went into defense mode. Um, and yeah, I mean, it just kind of went from there. That's when me and Melissa Smith and Diana Allen and Robin all met up at a hotel and kind of compared notes. And by the time we left that meeting, we knew right away that there were so many similarities. And then we convinced the police that there were connections.
Well, I remember because Amber would send me all kinds of stuff about this, and I was talking about it some. And I remember when the police first came out and said, these are not connected. Like there are no, they're not connected at all. And I'm like, no way, that cannot be. Like I could see one or two, maybe, like the woman that was not identified, or maybe, but there were just so many similarities. And even though it is the lifestyle that many of the girls were living, it's a rough lifestyle and it's dangerous. I had a feeling they had to be connected. And I'm curious if that was part of like the police plan to protect the investigation, telling the public these are not connected. We don't see a potential serial killer or what. But yeah, go ahead.
Weren't they already looking into Jesse at that time when they said they weren't connected? Correct me if I'm wrong, Ariel or Haley, but I'm pretty sure they were. So maybe it was a plan, you know?
I believe that at the time that they announced that it was online rumors, they had already arrested Jesse.
Yeah. So I think it was
So
a plan maybe to calm the public because we were all freaking out a bit. We were.
Yeah,
it
I would
definitely
be too.
was, and it was. I told our detectives when Joanna's case got sent to Portland police. I said, "Yeah, thanks for that press release about online rumors." Like, because like you might as well have just put like Ariel is spreading rumors as the headline, because it was May 31st that I put out a Facebook post putting all of the girls together. And then I think me and Haley went to try to find news articles day. The earliest one we could find where they report on the cases together was June 2nd. So not that I'm like wanting like to claim, oh, I said it first, but that's what it felt like in the moment because I put that out there and shared it in every group I could find. And then for them to go and say, oh, it's online rumors, I was like, this is offensive
Yeah.
because, whether I, at the time, I didn't know it was, I didn't know Jesse was a person of interest. I didn't know they had arrested him. But to me, when they said, oh, hey, the public isn't at risk, I was like, oh, you mean not the public that you care about, not the public that's nobody's going to get picked up going to the grocery store. It's just the people living in the tents and the trailers on the side of the street. And, oh, he was arrested a week later. Yeah. So
But they clearly already knew that he was connected before that, I would think.
So well, first I want, if there's anything that we can do here to help, what I'm going to do with this video, because I was so disheveled at the beginning, I'm going to download it and edit out the some of it and make like a video out of it. And then I want, like, is there anything else that we can do to help you guys? Anything I can do to put out there, and if nothing on the top of your head, if something comes to you later, please let me know, because yeah, I don't know what I can do, but I want to help so bad, you
Maybe
know.
we can make a like, all get together again and make a more like planned video and share certain information and share it out as a video or even a live. I don't know if you guys are
Yeah,
all up to that too.
absolutely.
Yeah,
So we
sorry.
can do that.
To like totally thought I missed this already, by the way. So I'm glad that I got to join. I think the most important thing is just to make sure people are getting their information from reputable sources. I don't know what was said in this live before I got here, but I know that there's people on YouTube that like to claim they have inside information, and a lot of it is bait click stuff, clickbait, bait click. And so, like, I don't post a lot on YouTube, and I'm learning more about the tiki-talkie. So, I mean, if people want, or United Justice Group on Facebook, if people want to follow that, um, they can ask questions on there, and I can answer what I can. But it's just best to get information from a source, so that
Yeah.
we don't spread misinformation.
Yeah, I think it's better to talk, obviously we all can't reach out to the detectives, but I think talking to family members to get information is the best way, in my opinion, and you can be there for them at the same time instead of listening to random people who, you know, you know, aren't related to them and aren't going through this process in reality. So I agree.
Right. Absolutely. And well, I had a couple more questions, and anything else that you want to share, you can, and we can come on here again. But I'm curious. So the article said that Kristen's mom, he had court this week, I guess, right? On the 7th, last Thursday. And are you going to go to any of his hearings? I think the article said that Kristen's mom went for like all of you guys, basically. She was the only one that could be there. But yeah, how do you feel about the court process? And are you going to try to be there?
Yeah, so with the arraignment, I know that Diana was in Spokane with her cousin, and I had kind of made a choice to stay back, mainly because I knew an arraignment only takes like 2 minutes, and I didn't want to pay for parking um, just to spend 2 minutes there. Melissa felt that it would be best, to be there and kind of stand for all of us, and I thank her immensely for that. I do plan on being at future hearings where there's maybe some more information, because we don't have any more information. Like, we have what we've investigated and what we've gathered, but we're unsure exactly how much of that might be accurate or helpful. And so moving forward, I was advised that there would probably be more than a few setovers, and that we can expect it to be anywhere between 2 and 4 years for a
Oh
trial.
my God.
And
So,
that's what I'm curious about is because, okay, playing devil's advocate, if I was Jesse's attorney, I would tell him to not revoke his right to a speedy trial. You know, I would tell him to do it because then they couldn't connect other crimes to him. So I wonder if he will do that or wait the two to, revoke his right to a speedy trial and direct, wait 2 to 4 years and do it
Well,
that way. It's a tricky situation, you
I
know?
know other ones I've followed have taken that long. And I just, a lot of them were through COVID. And I was hoping and thinking that maybe that was why it was taking so long. But it's just a slow process, and it's so
Yeah.
painful for you guys. And that's what pisses me
And
off
it's like
about.
catch 22 because if you go to the speedy trial, they might not be able to connect Ashley, and Kristen. in time to
Yeah.
add it to the same case. So it's kind of like maybe it's better for it to take a couple years so that it can connect him. I mean, they could always charge him later, but it does have, hit the jury differently if it's the same jury with all of these crimes,
Yeah.
connected.
I
And
did.
so,
They did inform all of us families that by having him in on previous charges and serving out his previous sentence, that that just gave them more time, right? Because the second you charge someone, you need to be prepared to go.
Yep. Right.
So just okay, that was just time to solidify evidence and really get something rock hard. Um, but then I think now there's just been so much evidence that it takes so long to process. This is not like CSI or anything you see on TV. And now everything that I've learned throughout this, I like watch TV shows and they're like halfway ruined for me. So I'm like, you didn't
Yeah.
get DNA back. You didn't get the talk screen back in a week. That's an 8-month process.
Yeah.
So, I think that has a lot to do with it, and that they just needed to charge him to keep him from being released. And so they went with their strongest cases to do that. And I do feel pretty confident that Ashley and Kristen will be added to it. And I wouldn't be surprised if you saw a couple other girls added as well. But I'm still in the same boat as everybody else. Like, what is the evidence? And, with a fair trial, and, that's when our family is going to hear the evidence is in trial. And so,
Yep.
is it that proves that it's him? What's the evidence? And it sucks not knowing that. And I want to try my detectives because they've been doing this day in, day out, for over a year. They've answered every phone call, every text message. And so it is 24/7 for them. And I don't believe that they would be charging somebody with this if they didn't have the evidence. But being a critical thinker and, a crime junkie, like a lot of us, I'm like, okay, well, I can't fully believe for myself until I hear what the evidence is. It's a really rough spot to be in because I want to wear a shirt that says convict this guy, but I don't want to do that if I don't know for sure that that's the person, and I'm sure it is, but this is just an example of what goes through my mind every day.
Right. I cannot imagine. I mean, you're going through so much, and you've got the kids, and all of you guys, you're just awesome for going out there and fighting for the information and doing your own kind of trying to get information on your own, like your own separate investigation, if you will. But you're right. When you go to trial, that's when, and I wish more people realize that, like, that is when all the facts come out. That's when we get to see what exactly led them here. And I wish I could come out there for the trial. I would totally, if maybe in 2 years, they have it, I'll be in the spot. I can fly out there because I totally would. I would love to see that and be there for you guys. But it just sucks because it's a slow process. And like you said, I really hope and pray that Kristen and Ashley and anybody else, because I've seen there are a few other missing, women in the area. Oh, that's another question. I know Amber has to go in just like 10 or 15 minutes, but did you guys, have you ever been made aware of this guy before this?
No, I believe Diana did have him on a list, like when we met up for the first time, but there wasn't a lot of ties to him at the time, so it's not somebody that we really looked into. But I had no idea that Joanna knew him. Throughout this, I realized that there have been connections before, apparently, David.
and
But
real quick, Diana is Charity's mom, right?
yeah,
I want to make sure people know. Yeah.
I was about to ask that. I thought so because it was fresh in my mind from that one of these articles that I was reading through. So Charity's mom, Kristen's mom, you guys are all kind of working together. Is there any other? Have you guys made contact with all the family members or someone in each family, rather?
Yeah, somebody in each family. Ashley's parents, Jose and Maria, and Ashley's sister, Maciel. We talk to them often. You know, and we update each other. They kind of, they still have young children and feel like they need to protect them, and they're just kind of going through the same process we are. And then Bridget's mom, Darcy, me and Robin have had communications with her, and just as the rest of the parents are struggling, they are as well. And everybody kind of goes through their own trauma differently. And I think me, Diana, and Melissa have made it so that we can, support each other. We have a group chat with all of the families on. Amaya, sorry, I have my toddler here.
We all have kids. You're totally fine.
Kiddos first, yeah, it's all good.
She needs tape for everything. Anyways, we've made it so that we can support each other and kind of stand up for those families who would rather deal with their trauma in private.
Right. Well, I mean, you're right. Everybody grieves differently. And Kristen and Ashley, I mean, everyone's young. I'm going to be 35 next month. And I look at the ages of all of these girls. Charity, 24, Joanna, 32, Bridget was 31, right? That was the only age I didn't have on this list. Kristen, 22, Ashley, 22. Kristen and Ashley, I mean, they're babies. I remember being 22. Oh my God, your life isn't even beginning, even at 32. There's so much that they could have done. They could have all had the opportunity to turn their lives around. Like you said, you had seen Joanna do it before, which I'm so thankful you guys got to experience those moments. But still, young babies. How old is he again? Let me go look. I don't think I have that.
I don't know his exact age, but I'm pretty sure he's in his late 30s. Do you know?
Or something.
39. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I despise him already. And you know what? You're right. I should probably wait on the evidence, but
But there must be
what I've heard from my fiance and other people I know who know him, that's why I'm personally.
Yeah.
It's him, but I know that we shouldn't be convinced of that until there's evidence, but that's just my feeling.
Yeah, and your instincts are the most important thing you have. I mean, we wouldn't be here today, I don't believe, without, our instincts and our families coming together. I think that made a big difference. The thing that it really hits home with Kristen and Ashley is that, yes, they were young and they weren't like, Bridget and Joe, who had dealt with years and years of struggling and the back and forth. They just recently, kind of fallen into that lifestyle, and a lot of it has to do with boyfriends, kind of just with that slow fall when you're with someone who isn't great for you, and you if you can't beat them, join them, and they chance to get out of it. They never they didn't even dive into that lifestyle fully, like I've seen a lot of people do before they hit rock bottom. And so only, it's just like, I don't know. And that part just really gets me, because we did get to see Joe come out of that addiction a couple times and thrive. And they weren't even fully in their addiction to even get a chance to get out of it. And their parents just like, it's ruined lives that are still living.
Yeah,
And that's
it's
why I really hope that they get justice. And if Jesse is the right person, I hope that they can connect that to him as soon as possible. Because as a mom, I can't imagine, feeling that, question in my mind that there's no answer to. And I just have to wait for other people to connect it. That's a hard thing to go through. I can't imagine.
yeah. I
Melissa
mean,
also carries a burden that not any of the other families really have. Melissa and Kristen were extremely close, and even with her living on the streets, she still reached out to her mom often, like regularly, routinely. They wouldn't go a week without talking. That would not be normal. And Melissa asked for help when her daughter stopped calling. She knew something was wrong. If you call into Portland Police Missing Persons and try to report a homeless drug addict missing, who's over the age of 18, they're going to try to convince you not to file a report and just tell you, they probably just don't want to be found. They're probably on a bender, this or that. And Melissa, for months was screaming that something was wrong, that this wasn't her not wanting to be found. And had they listened to her sooner, who knows, would these other girls be dead? Would Kristen have been dead? I don't know. And it sucks because the first point of contact with the police and these missing women is missing persons, and that stigma, that bias, could have saved lives here.
yeah, absolutely. Because wasn't she found in February? I walked inside, so I don't have my notes anymore. But that was long before, some of the other women went missing. Amber and I'm curious of your opinion on this. And then, I can let you guys go. I hope that we can join again and kind of talk some more because I don't know. I just liked getting to hear about Joanna and stuff like that. I really appreciate that. But do you believe that this was, someone premeditating this, or is it, what are your thoughts on that, the premeditation? And the reason I asked that, Amber and I had talked about it, but Debbie had put a comment, do you think he saw easy targets or potentially a hatred for users? We know that he was kind of hanging out. I know with Ashley, they like in some sort of a relationship, not necessarily boyfriend and girlfriend, but kind of like hanging
I
out.
think they were intimate and hanging out, and I know that he had abused her in the past, which I don't know if you know Ariel, but as far as I've heard, didn't she try to file a restraining order against him in the past?
Yeah, she did. So I believe he met most of these women through social media channels. I'm not sure exactly which ones, but I know it's more than one. And I know, I think that's how he met Ashley. And they had some issues. There was some abuse there, and she had I think she did file a restraining order, and she went to her dad for help even, and stop, Maya. So there's a lot of things that like parents are carrying as well. I've heard Mel say many times, even though Kristen was on the street, she was never homeless. That's true. So Kristen's case was a little bit different because she had chosen to be out there. Like, she always had a place at home with Melissa. I know a lot of people who don't know this lifestyle and the struggle of an addict, their first questions or comments are like, oh, why weren't they with you? If you care so much, why didn't you take them in? Those are real comments that people have said to us. And it's
Oh my God.
somebody and still set a boundary. And that's what, everybody was trying to do the best way they could.
I
To
think too.
me,
Oh,
Um,
go ahead.
oh, go ahead, Haley.
Oh, sorry. I know I've been so quiet. I don't want to interrupt, but I was just gonna say, like, for someone like you or I were more familiar with that kind of lifestyle in our family. Like, Mel really put herself out there in a world she was unfamiliar with, to find Kristen,
That's
and she's gotten just a lot of. I mean, everybody's gotten a lot of hate, but
How do you who the hell is sitting at home, and this is where you take out your anger on people like you guys going through what you've gone through, fighting for justice, fighting for truth. I don't understand it. And that's a good point, because that would be scary and dangerous for Melissa. It's just a mom who loves their child. Go ahead.
a little bit sometimes. Like, we can't just go there and do that right now. Like, we need somebody else to go with us. But she is a mama bear who, like, I mean, I'm telling you, the amount of stress and trauma, and I think maybe, like Amber, you kind of understand when you have lived a certain lifestyle and recovered from it, or you've had family in this lifestyle, you're kind of immune to a lot of the awful things that you hear that people experience because you've experienced it. But
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
with Melissa, this is a completely different world to her. It's all new. So everything that we have found out, and just kind of realizing what the lifestyle is on the street, it's been a huge trauma shock to her, and it's taken a toll on all of our healths. But it's really, really affected Melissa. And I feel like that woman will stop at nothing, even if it kills her, and I mean that, like, literally. um like, it's something to even worry about, because not having answers is detrimental to her health. As far as the premeditation question goes, I know the indictment is for murder 2,
Yeah.
which is not premeditated. um well, let me clarify. That means that they cannot prove premeditation. um so
Right.
it's about proof of intention and what they have. Um, I I think if it was just one girl, maybe it wouldn't be premeditated, but at a
Yeah.
point, you have to be like, hold on, this is a pattern. So there
Yeah.
isn't an accident every time.
Yes. I was thinking that,
So
like,
when I
it's not.
talk to,
Oh, go ahead,
okay.
Amber. No, you can.
So when I talked to my fiance about it and the charge of murder too, and and he's familiar with the court system, he has a past. That's how he knows Jesse. But he said that from his conversations with Jesse and from his knowledge of the court system and the charges, he thinks it may have been, God, I even hate saying this, but he thinks it may have been like a sexual thing, that the first time that he did it, which my fiance thinks was probably way before any of these victims, had gone too far and he enjoyed that, and so that's what he kept repeating, was going too far with that, and it gave him gratification.
Mm.
Um, and
I
that's his feeling of it, just from knowing Jesse and the court system and the charges. That's what he believes.
Interesting. Ooh, I should think of some questions for him, because that is very interesting to me. I'd be curious. Now, I know that his ex-girlfriend has done several interviews actually on YouTube, on mainstream media. Have you guys chatted with her? And I'm curious if she could make sense of that at all, Amber, if maybe that was something going
I
on.
don't think I'm the right person to answer that. I think that others, I think maybe Ariel's spoken with her more. I've only spoken with her once. But from what I've seen of her interviews, it seems like he's gone too far with her a little bit too. And I thank God she's still alive. That's all it's all I know. But
Oh, yeah.
thank God she's still alive.
I'm sorry, I got distracted. Are you talking about Krista?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've I've gotten pretty close to Krista over the last year. Um, and I do think that I think that he had a genuine love for Krista. I think that that's true. I know that there's been numerous like occasions where somebody gets convicted of something awful and you're like, what? Like, I would have never thought that. And I feel like that might be the case with Jesse, is that while he wasn't the best partner to her at all, that he did genuinely love her, and that she's been through quite a bit of her own trauma. And sometimes, especially if you're in a relationship with a manipulative person, there could be signs there that you tell yourself are something else and you believe them. So
Exactly. Yeah.
and I also think, if you look at Krista compared to the girls who were killed, there seems to be a certain type of woman that was kind of targeted in this, and Krista doesn't really fit that description. And, maybe it's her blonde hair that saved her. I don't know. But I'm glad that she is here and nothing happened to her, because she's been a huge help to us.
And that's why she gets a lot of hate online. Krista gets so much hate, and I don't think it's okay. I don't think
No.
it's right. I have a Facebook group about all this, and people ask me why she's allowed in it, and I don't think that's right at all. I mean, she's going through hell too, not in any way the same as these families. It's a confusing time for her, and I have no question in my mind she's been abused, no question, and that's a hard thing to process. So,
I think it's also
you
hard to
know,
process on the outside of all of this. And trust me, it took quite a long time. I mean, Amber, when I first started talking to Krista, I actually went in on that Facebook group. And because people were, victimizing her, and I was like, why is this the focus right now? Because there was a YouTuber who was like raising money for her to get some things she needed, and at that time, it made me upset. But then I had reached out and apologized for how I behaved, because it really wasn't the right thing to do at all. But she is also going through a loss, and we've had to remind her of that too, because I think she feels like she's carrying like a responsibility, because she didn't see, or the things that she did see, she didn't attribute to serial killer.
Right.
And so we've had to remind her that, like, it's okay for you to feel sad at Jesse being in prison or having these charges. That's somebody that you loved, whether there was abuse or not, and so I think a lot of people don't think about that either. Like, she's having a loss. This person is ultimately, probably dead to her as well, because she'll never see him again or ever have that relationship that they had when it was good. From what I know, he was great with her kids, and
Yeah.
I've seen pictures, and I saw a picture on his Facebook. He saved a turtle. I'm like, wow. So there were like genuine
Right.
him, and Krista is missing that.
I remember that now that you say that, the pictures of like him with one of her children, maybe a little boy or something. But I remember that coming out like last year. And also, I'm with you. I think nobody should be unkind to her. I'm sure she feels completely betrayed. I'm sure she feels extremely guilty, like you said. And the fact that she's been there for you guys and kind of helping you along the way, like, that's what matters to me. Is at least she's trying to do that and trying to help you guys. That means a lot. So I don't know.
and it's
People,
hard. I mean, I think that her kids are going through a loss too. I can't imagine what they feel and how she would even try and explain this to them. That would be a very difficult thing to try and explain why he's not around, you
Yeah,
know?
right?
especially the kids
Yeah.
who have great memories of him. There's something in the comments that I just kind of wanted to address really quick.
Okay.
Um, Camelot said Jesse Calhoun was not the only killer imprisoned. The former governor.
Yep.
That one, okay. At first, I was super upset with Kate Brown about this thing, about him getting clemency. But I don't want Jesse's case to take away from the fact that inmates who risk their lives to fight wildfires and try to make their lives better, like they still deserve a shot at a second chance if they're trying to turn their lives around. Murderers don't, rapists don't, but pedophiles don't. But there are a lot of people locked up for robberies or this or that, where like
Or drug charges or things like that. Yeah.
that, like, they want, that's their rock bottom. I don't think that this should make anybody think that those programs are deserving. And I also think a lot of people don't realize that these files for clemency showed up on the desk of District Attorney Mike Schmidt for review. If you look back at that time, all of the DAs from all the other counties in Oregon, like if they had an issue, they didn't want someone to receive clemency and they objected to it. Kate Brown didn't say anything else. She was like, okay, they're out of the running. So what you have is you had a district attorney who had these files sitting on his desk that he didn't even open. He didn't review them. He didn't refute them. So really what you have, like the blame we're putting on Kate Brown, and we can blame a lot of stuff on her. I think it's a bipartisan thing. We can all agree she sucked. I don't know how she was elected when we all...
Yeah, I pretty much agree too. Yeah, Kate Brown sucks.
But I think people don't realize where the fault really is with the district attorney. And then on top of that...
Vote for Vasquez. That's all I got to say for any Portland people.
He won. He did win. So... Vasquez is the new DA.
Good. Yeah.
I expect changes, in the city. But with that, as a family member, if I can accept this, and I think the public should,
Absolutely,
he would have been out before these murders started.
Yep.
Yeah, and Allie did make that point early in the live too.
Yep.
I don't think you were here yet, but definitely, and it would have happened anyway. I mean, and it's a Jesse problem. That's the main problem. And if it's not him for some reason, then it's the killer's problem.
Yes.
And we need to all be more vigilant of when, like, we all have to keep track of our surroundings. And if we see someone that we see any red flags with, keep an eye on it and raise those red flags to people that can help. Because I feel like my fiance, who heard that conversation with Jesse a long time ago, he should have said something to someone who could have helped. He should have. He really should have. And so should have all the other people in that room, and that's what needs to change also is if we hear something, we need to say something.
Absolutely. You're so right. And you couldn't have said that better. If the family can accept it, the public needs to. No hate needs to be on Krista, the governor. I mean, I'm not happy to hear that either. When I first saw it, I was like, what? But then, like Amber said, I'd mentioned before you came, he would have been out anyways, even if he stayed in the time he was supposed to, until the end. So I don't know. Sometimes I think people just need something to be outraged at. You know what I mean? And what people need to be outraged at is at Jesse and at the stigma against people with addiction and houseless people and girls, working girls and stuff like that. That's what people need to spend their time being outraged at.
They need to be outraged at, like, our government, our city officials, like, as a whole. Like, this city has gotten out of hand, that it's condoned, encouraged, like, enabled, like, open drug use. And, I went to Everest College on 4th and Washington in downtown Portland. And it was a scam of a school, but it was a beautiful building. That's the same building that all these years, that was 2011, that all these years later is national news for being an open air fentanyl market. And
Uh,
You can just walk down the street and see foil and fentanyl and smell it. I mean, it's bad here. It's really bad.
I
awful.
don't
Smell
understand
it
it.
in my car when I drive down streets. And I have my kids with me. And
Oh my God.
it's even harder as a family member of people that have recovered and people that are still in active addiction. Like I see these people, they are people, they need help. Where's our help? Like, we passed a measure that was supposed to provide more treatment centers and more resources, and all they've ended up doing is handing out supplies to do
Yes.
drugs. So, like, I see them as people that need help, but I also see it as a person who is not an addict raising 3 young kids, and we're driving past tents and trailers that constantly explode because they're meth labs and start wildfires or house fires, and like, an unsightly and dangerous addition to our community. And so I see both sides of it. And if you want to put outrage on anything, it should be pressuring our city government, our state government, to look for a long-term solution and recovery option. Not just let's not
Yes.
all on a bus to another state. Let's.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Well, I can so
Yeah,
agree
it's a
with the.
$100 fine. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I got it. I'll just remember because yeah.
So from what I know, it's a $100 fine, or you agree to do a treatment evaluation, but that doesn't mean you have to go. If you get caught using drugs on the street or having them, that includes fentanyl, meth, coke, heroin, any of that. And so, I mean, they can even just agree to pay the $100 fine and then not, and so it's like Ariel said, it's a really bad bill that they put into effect, and they claim that all that money goes to treatment, but sometimes people have to go to jail to get clean long enough to see they need treatment.
That's
Yeah,
That's sometimes that
that's true.
has to happen.
Amber. How many new treatment centers have popped up? None.
None,
No,
none.
people are still going to Hoopers on Cooch for detox. If you go to, like, we need it so that if somebody decides at 4 p.m., like, I'm ready to get clean, there should be somewhere they go in that moment that will take
Exactly. Yeah.
her. Have to show up at 5 o'clock in the morning, stand in a line, and if you don't get picked that day to go in, you have to go back in the morning. You have to just keep going. That's not
I was
sustainable.
one of those people years ago that waited in the Hooper line. I've been clean for almost 8 years, and I was one of those people.
Yeah,
But thank
I'm
God I didn't live in this addiction with the fentanyl days that we have now, or I don't think
saying.
I'd be here. I wouldn't
I
be.
wouldn't be here either. And Amber, I'm so proud of you. Well, what I was going to say, I can understand decriminalizing. I can even understand needle exchange. I can't understand giving foil pipes and just allowing it to be like, I can understand
Yeah.
decriminalizing to a degree, but not, it's completely out of hand. It's just gotten completely out of hand.
They
And
really
those foils and pipes and needles are all over our parks, all over where our kids walk. They're getting pricked
Oh,
and
hell
stepping
no.
on
Oh, my
pipes, and it's
God.
not okay. It's
Mm-mm.
not
little
okay.
kids finding little baggies of fentanyl at these parks. There have been babies that have OD'd in public bathrooms, and their moms put them on a changing table because somebody has used that changing table to crush their stuff.
Oh,
Like,
my God.
it's just out of control, and that's why I asked. Well, actually, and made me ask my doctor for a prescription for Narcan to
Yeah.
carry everywhere we go. So I get that refilled often, and I share it with
Yeah,
other
I
moms,
always carry it too. You have
because
to
That's
here.
awesome.
just
Yeah.
people, it's not like, oh, somebody I love is an addict and might overdose. I need to carry this because what if my kids touch something that they're not supposed to touch?
Oh my God Almighty, that is so damn scary. I can't get over that. Okay, so I tell you guys what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna I'm going to download this video and try to make a better video out of it. I want to add some photos of the girls and I'll do a voiceover, and then I'm going to put all the parts where you guys spoke still in it, but I'm just going to cut out like all my awkward mess ups at the beginning with my internet going out and all that stuff. But I want you guys to know, plus, because a lot of the people who are usually here there's a lot of trials going on, and I want to make sure people see this. So, and I want you guys to know, and Ariel and the family specifically, you know, like I said before, anything at all that I can do for you guys with my platform here on TikTok. I started on TikTok. I have a little bit of a bigger platform there, but I don't really use it too much. But just anything, you have my number, and I'm truly one call away, and I'm here for you guys in any way that I can be. And Amber, I'm just thankful for you, and I'm proud of you, and I'm thankful for you for like just helping me and speaking up and being such a voice for this case. Yeah, and I just appreciate you guys coming on.
And hope we can get back together, you know, and have a, you know, and discuss what we can share. And 'cause I know there's a lot more that we can share about this, and I think it does need to stay in the spotlight, not just from mainstream media, but from YouTubers that care to listen to the families and hear them speak, like how you did about who Joanna was. You know, we need that.
Yes.
So.
We need so much more of that. And I want to do, if you guys are willing, like, you know, every so often, every couple weeks or something, and anytime there was an update, or anytime, even if there's something that pops up and you're like, hey, I would like to talk about this, call me and we will spark up a live stream or whatever you guys want. I'm down to do it, and I'm here to help however I can.
Yeah,
And
say thank you, Ali, so much for letting me come on in the middle of your live. And, you know, I feel like I probably got you off track, and yeah, we kind of were sporadic. So I'm excited. I would love to do this again with you guys. And Amber, thank you so much. Like the second that you set up the possible Portland, Oregon serial killer group, you know, I was so jumbled and I didn't think to do something like that at all. And you did, and it really created a community that helped support us and help our voices be heard. And I really want to give you a huge shout out for that. It means the world. It really means a lot.
Thank you. And that means the world to me. I mean, I will always put victims and victims' families first, because the families are victims as well. And, you know, it was great finding out we're family too. So, you know, and that wouldn't have been possible without this, but I just want you guys to be supported. That is my main concern, and for justice for the victims. So,
yeah, absolutely. Well, I
yeah.
wasn't going to mention that, Amber. I was so nervous when Ariel wanted to come up, because, and I want to make sure I say that correctly, and Ashley's last name, if you know the proper way to say that, just out of respect for you guys and the victims. But when you wanted to come up, and I was like, okay, like, I don't want to say who you are if you don't want me to. And then I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what you're comfortable with me saying. So I was like, I don't know how to introduce you. And then you have it under your name, which I'm so glad. I didn't even see that till I made our things bigger. But Amber found out through this process that you guys are actually related. Now, you were related to Joanna, and not that
I'm not really. Joanna's like step, like how, you know, same as Ariel. But yeah, me and
It's,
Ariel are related.
it's basically like Joanna and Amber would be step cousins through marriage, and then me and Amber are like half cousins through marriage. It's a really
It's a tangled web.
Yeah. But it's like hilarious.
But she knows my brother well, my like blood brother well.
okay.
So it's a tangled web.
And Haley, your cat is freaking pretty. It is such a pretty cat. I gotta say, I'm sorry. I know that's random, but I didn't notice it till I made it bigger. And beautiful cat.
Oh, thank you. And sorry I'm so quiet. I'm so happy to come on again.
Yeah, I would love that.
Live, but,
I think it would be good for us all to talk again and, you know, kind of play out together what to show and what to talk about. And and do
Yes.
that. I really want to keep this alive. I think there's a lot of people who feel like since he's been charged with four of them, or three of them, sorry, three of them, it's done, but it's not. And we just need to still keep it alive because of the other two possible victims and even more,
Yeah.
you
Um,
Absolutely.
know.
yeah, and I think too, like, unfortunately, because it's an active investigation and so many things are up in the air right now, like, people really just don't get a good idea of how much work these families are doing. And it's just incredible. And eventually, like, hopefully you guys get to see. But it's amazing, like, just how strong these women are and just in their day to day. Like, Ariel alone, nursing school, raising three children, dealing with her sister's murder investigation, also running a nonprofit to help other people with their murder investigations. Like, all of these women are
Oh wow. Oh,
amazing.
is that the Facebook thing? That can you tell me the name of that again, and I'll post it. And keep going,
Yeah.
Haley. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, that was pretty much it. I mean, just, I think because there are just so many people out here who, not you guys, but there are just people on YouTube or on Facebook that will put things out to get follows or likes and attention, and they just don't realize like everything these families are going through, and the families can't put that out there. But just even the hanging out with Ariel for lunch like was a freaking adventure. And just seeing the situations that like these women put themselves in to find the truth, like it's so incredible. It's so incredible.
Yeah, I put
I agree.
a sketchy situation that day. But yeah, thank you so much, Haley. There is a lot that we've done that people will never see or will never and may see a lot of it, but there's stuff that like people just won't know until after this trial. But I think making sure that people know, just because we're not talking about it publicly, is to protect the integrity of the cases. And when you see people putting information out, and if they have, family members blocked from, their social medias or something like that, they don't have the family members coming on to speak about it, then it's probably because it's untrue or misinformation or things that would put the investigation at risk. And so I think for people that watch a lot of different YouTubers over this same situation, um, that says a lot. Those are your red flags, and
Definitely.
look for those.
Well, with YouTube in general, it's pretty crazy, but there's another case that's very popular right now, and I'm talking about it's getting like thousands of people in chats, and it's all like there's so much misinformation. There's so much stuff that's not true. It's really unfortunate because a lot of people, they come on and they trust the people they watch, and with that case in particular, I have seen so much just be spread and none of it's true. And it's like we talk about this all the time. I had a live last night. We were talking about like, does the truth should matter. It's true crime. It's in the name of it. Like we should be after the truth, not just after the rumors or what sounds good or whatever. You know what I mean? And yeah, so
Just to give a
And
quick,
real quick before I go, I just also want to mention that the nonprofit will be involved in a true crime convention happening in Portland soon for anyone in the area. So I just, Ariel can probably speak more of that, but I'll definitely be going. So
oh, thank
anyone
you.
to go who wants to support the families.
well, if you give me the information, I'll make sure to post it. So if anybody's in the area, they can come by. And Ariel, is there any way that we can contribute to the nonprofit? Do you have any links or anything like that? Like maybe I can make a small donation from the channel right now. I'll make like maybe like $50 or $100 today. Then if anybody else wants to, just so we can help in any way that we can, is there a place we can do that?
Yes, thank you. Right now, it is filed as a nonprofit in Oregon, and Any donations right now will be going toward our IRS fee. It's like $600 to make it a federal nonprofit. And we have a website, unitedjusticegroup.org, and there is like a donation link under Shop All or down on the homepage a little bit. It's a website in progress, so don't judge me. I don't have a professional coder at the moment. Wait, I do. But I haven't got her on my website just yet. And then moving forward from there, really what we do is we help other people that have missing family members under suspicious circumstances or murders that haven't been solved, where there's a demographic of people, kind of like the ones that Joanna was part of, that their voices and their cases weren't heard or taken seriously because of the stigma. And because we've had this huge platform and all these connections in the media and stuff like that, we can help elevate their voices instead of it taking forever the way that it did with us and the battle that we've had. We can kind of just streamline them there, give them a checklist of, okay, do this with the flyer, with this, get this information, do a tip line, this is how you do it, and maybe even connect them with other resources, help them print flyers, and eventually I'd really start support groups, once a week or so around the community, because having our 5 families come together to lean on each other during the hardest part of our lives, I think is the only way all of us are standing. And so nobody should go through anything like this alone, even if, their loved one was murdered and it wasn't a serial killer. There's still people that understand and can help support you. So that's kind of our focus with that. And Haley has been amazing at helping connect to families and dive into other as well.
Well, I am pulling the United your website up right now. I'm going to drop it in the chat. And then, like I said, I'm going to make a donation from the channel today. And then if anybody else wants to, I'll also make a community post or something with the links, because my internet's being iffy right now and it's loading. Tess, can you put that in the link in the chat? UnitedJusticeGroup.org. Okay, got it. It came through. Never mind. I can do it. So yeah, I want to help however we can. And I just appreciate you guys coming on. And again, I know that like it doesn't, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for what you're going through, but you're amazing. Like all the things that you're doing to try to help the nonprofit, the children. I can't even say it enough. And Haley, you too, and Amber, you too. You guys are just really incredible women, and I'm so honored that you would come on and Amber's like, bye. So honored that you would come on and chat with me about it all.
Thank you for having us, and thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, and thank you guys, and I'll talk to you soon and see you soon. And I'll do the donation to that as soon as the live's over.
Thank you so much. Yes, and we will do this again. I loved this experience, and like you did a fantastic job, making it so respectful, open, and non-judgmental, and amazing. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate that. It means a lot to me. All right, you guys in the chat. Thank you, Robin, for stopping by. Thank you to the mods. I'm going to go ahead and end this. I hope you guys have a great night, and definitely check out the link to the nonprofit, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.